Scanning for audio.
Welcome to the Tin Dog Podcast. This time I'm going to be splitting this particular review over two, mainly because this Big Finish release is available separately if you wanted them separately, but you also can get them all in one go. It makes sense if you just bear with me. Basically, they are The Romance of Crime and The English Way of Death, based on Gareth Roberts' novels, both adapted by John Dorney. But I'll be reviewing them one at a time because they are quite different beasts. Now, the order is fairly arbitrary. We've got The Romance of Crime, which is based on the 6th Doctor Who Virgin Missing Adventures. Now, it features the 4th Doctor Romana, Romana 2, and K9 Mark 2. And, as you could see from the cover of the original book, it's got the Ogrons in it. So next time, I will, of course, be talking about The English Way of Death. That's not what's important. What is important is that this time I'm going to be discussing The Romance of Crime. Now, I hadn't read, although I do own both of these books, and I found it rather odd. You see, there's a quest for happiness that goes on in every single Doctor Who fan. It's part of the whole anti-disappointment thing, where we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. We're thinking, ooh, what would be lovely, and why can't we have it? So, what would be lovely is if Romana, Lalla Ward, was in a Tom Baker story. In fact, for years we were going, do you know what would be lovely if we had Tom Baker? We are never satisfied. Ooh, can we have Tom Baker? Yes. Lalla Ward's his ex-wife. They probably won't be working together. Oh, but that would be lovely. Can we have Romana's story? Oh, we've got the first Romana. Oh, she's no longer with us. What would be really nice is if we could have this. Oh, could we have this? Could we have this? We are Oliver. We always want more. Now, these are real, genuine people. Tom Baker is a larger-than-life character, but he was married to Lalla Ward. Now, let's look at it from Richard Dawkins or Mrs. Baker's point of view. Do you want your spouse to be hanging around with their ex? Probably not, regardless of how mature and set in your ways you've become, and that could apply to either of them. So we kind of resigned ourselves to the fact that Lalla and Tom wouldn't really be together. Except that's what we've got here. You see, Gareth Roberts was announced that these are going to exist. These novel adaptations are going to be out there. Yes, it's a whole extra range for us poor saps to shell out for. How many ranges are there now? Just of Doctor Who titles, there's about 12. Forget the main range, that's nearly 200. But 12 ranges? Is that saturation or is that just clever marketing? Well, that's for someone else to decide, not for me. So what have we got here? The Romance of Crime, most people will not have read that. I'm sure that most people buying this story are coming to it afresh. Does it come across as being, well, does it portray its roots as a novel? In many respects, yes, but that's only because there is so much stuff going on. It's a very frenetic story, but at its core, and this applies to both stories, they feel like they've been script edited by Douglas Adams. Now, that's a double-edged sword, because if you're trying to emulate Adams, you will, and I know this from experience, fail. But if you're trying to capture his essence, just to touch it for a moment, not to emulate it, then that is something you can do. And that's what Dorney and Roberts have both managed. Now, as Nick Briggs said in the making of disc, he'd not read the original novels, and I think that's a bonus because he can come to the narrative completely afresh and go, right, I understand what's going on. So, story-wise, absolutely brilliant. And this is the lesser of the two, in my opinion. Also worthy of note, and has to be mentioned, is that Michael Troughton's in this. Michael, blink and you'll miss him eating chicken in the Christmas special. Troughton. Yes, he was a major loss there, but here he gets a full reign of someone a lot more like his character of Piers in The New Statesman. We've got some serious acting going on here, and it is of its time. The Ogrons deserve to be seen in Adams's series. They are thick, pointless creatures that really shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a spaceship. And the fact that they weren't used during Baker's time is beyond me. This feels like a found audio. It feels superb. Now, the issue of whether Tom and Lalla were in the room with each other when they were recording their lines is more of an issue in this story. Because although, because of wonderful editing, you can't tell most of the time whether they were or weren't together, and not that it's any of our business, you can sometimes feel that didn't quite work. If one was available when the other one wasn't, let's put it that way. And some audio was recorded separately. Who was recorded first and who had to fit in with whom? Those are things that aren't covered on the making of, and you know what? It's none of our business. Absolutely not. We are consumers when it comes down to it. We don't need the nitty-gritty of people's lives. Or do we? And if we do, you're not going to get it here. Story-wise, yes, I have kind of ignored that. You've got the TARDIS bringing the Doctor, Romana and K9 to the Rock of Judgement. It's a court and a prison and a place of execution built on a rocket-powered asteroid. And when it's involved in an investigation on the system's finest lawman, and he is a bit of a caricature straight out of a Douglas Adams story, they find and must seek the answers to some disturbing questions. I don't really want to go into any more depth because, well, they would be spoilers, and that's just not my idea of fun. So, the Ogrons just plain work. They are comedy on an absolutely great level, played completely straight, which is the best way. So I'll leave you to listen to the trailer, and I will speak to you very soon, because next time I'm dealing with number 4 in the novel adaptations, The English Way of Death.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, The Romance of Crime.
Carbonaceous asteroid, I'd say. Traces of refractories, accelerated decay of aluminium-26, etc.
We're on the fringe of a simulated gravity field. I'd say they're using remote gravitic excitation.
Would you?
Wilkin, I've found Carl. Carl? It's not pretty. He's been flattened.
Duralinium? So possibly an Earth colony?
On an asteroid? Strange choice. Well, we won't know unless we get inside.
No! You are prisoners!
Follow me. Do not attempt to communicate. Any attempt to escape will result in immediate execution.
Yes, it usually does. All right.
The controls aren't responding!
The engines must have been interfered with, and we shall impact the planet's surface at terminal velocity. You must save us, Doctor!
What do you think I'm trying to do?
No! Stay back! No!
Sorry. More stairs, K9.
Don't worry, I can carry you.
Really? Wouldn't it be better to carry K9? I think you might struggle with me.
Big Finish. We love stories.
You've been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast, available on RSS, iTunes, Stitcher, Audio Boom and Tumblr. Doctor Who and its associated works are copyright of the BBC. No infringement is intended. You can contact the show, donate, buy merchandise, or find out more about my other projects by visiting the Tin Dog Podcast homepage and clicking on the links. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.